right. So look, man, we are back on another episode of the Coach's Corner, man, where we help you bridge the gap between exposure and scholarships, man. And we got a special guest with us, man. We have a guy who was with us for a short period of time, but man, when you elevate, you got to be able to take it, man. We have our guy Murph Roberts with us, man, over at East Central. Man, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell us if you got any crazy habits, whatever that is, man. What do the people need to know about you?
Yeah, I'm Murphy Roberts, defensive end, outside linebackers at East Central University. Just a young coach who coaches with a lot of passion. I love being out there, coaching the guys, being with the team, being a part of something greater than myself. And I see us doing that at
Yeah.
East Central. We're doing really good things. We have a very high standard. We've set a strong culture there. So, yeah.
Man, I love it, man. So let's get into it like this, man. How did you transition into coaching? All right. So everybody has a dream of playing. Everybody wants to go play ball, right? But then it all ends for all of us at some point in time. Some go pro, some don't make it out of high school. What was that journey like for you, man? And how did you transition into it?
Yeah, so I came here out of high school. They recruited me here out of high school to play.
Okay.
And I came here first semester, and my dad ended up getting really sick. He was bedridden. So it was a tough
Yeah.
decision, but decided to go back home, help out the family. Took some community college classes for a semester. Still wanted to play, but I also knew that football wouldn't be long term for me. So I needed to find something else to do. So when looking at
Right.
that, I was looking around for the best programs, around the Dallas area for exercise science, because that's what I was really interested in.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
decided Oklahoma State was the spot. Went to Oklahoma State. Actually tried out for the football team, didn't make it. And at that this would have been fall of 22. Yep, tried out for the football team, didn't make it.
Okay.
And at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm done with football. It's not meant for me. I'm good to just move on with my career. Well, that lasted about 2-3 weeks till I realized I needed football back.
Right.
But
Yep.
I was in a spot where I was like, at this point, there's not all too much I can do about that right now.
hmm
So I was going down the personal training route. I got my ACSM CPT, just a certification for personal training,
Yep.
and I was teaching classes at Oklahoma State's rec center. So probably I would say mid October. Yeah, probably around mid October. One of the assistant quarterback coaches, Tim Sanders, he ended up walking into the classroom,
Okay.
and we just hit it off. We just started talking ball, and we had very similar backgrounds, and he just took a liking to me, and he kept on coming
Yeah.
into the class, kept on coming back. So over time that relationship grew, and then it would have been spring or like January of 2023. He had texted me because somebody had left Oklahoma State. They promoted somebody else, which opened up another student coaching role.
Okay.
He called me, and I was there that day for the interview, and interviewed with the offensive coordinator, Casey Dunn, and took that spot, and I ended up being the student coach for wide receivers for 2.5 years. And I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
It was a grind, but
Yeah.
I learned so much there. Learned so much there. It was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And then after I graduated this past December.
hmm
Oklahoma State obviously had some coaching changes, and as you know, the
Yep.
coaching cycle is
It's a
hectic.
hard it's
It's
a hard
crazy.
world, man.
It
It's
is.
a hard world.
It
Yep.
is. So East Central, the defensive coordinator when I was there, when I played there in 21, is now
Mm.
the head coach. So he gave me a call, and he was like, "Hey, we have a spot here open. It would be coaching the front seven, as in and specifically the defensive ends and outside linebackers."
Yep.
And I really just weighed out all my options, and I was like, you know what, I know this staff, I know what this culture is about. I was a part of it, and they do things the right way. That's a place I want to be. So that's my story. That's how I got into coaching, and it's not typical, but I'm a run with it.
Hey man, it's funny how you took advantage of the opportunity, right? You over there teaching class, and you didn't even tell me this before. That's brand new information, man.
Yes,
And
sir.
then the opportunity opened up, and shoot, you took it. Shoot, that's a lesson in and of itself for a lot of people, man. So, all right, so let me ask you this: so you coach, right? So we coached at a high level D1, Oklahoma State, Big 12. We understand that. Even though you weren't like the main position coach, you were essentially a position coach because if anybody knows how these locker rooms and the coaching world really works, you were out there coaching those guys, man.
Yes, sir.
What were the lessons that you learned, man? What was the hardest lessons that you had to learn in the coaching game, from relationships to recruiting to just whatever it is, time management? What were those things that you had to learn the most?
I would say time management. I mean,
Okay.
time management is huge, especially with me at with my time at Oklahoma State. I was a student, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I believe my first semester doing it, I took 15 hours. In my second semester, I want to say I took about 17. And I ended up getting on a track to where I could potentially graduate early, which I did. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the summer before I graduated, like the last 3 semesters I was there, I completely maxed out the amount of hours you were allowed to take. Like
Yeah.
the spring of it would have been spring of 24, I took 21 credit hours. That summer I took
Boy, you
12.
pushing it, man.
That summer I
God.
took 12. In
Yeah.
the last season I was there, I took 19. So
Jeez.
like I was because as a student coach, luckily at Oklahoma State, they took the student part seriously. They understood like,
Yep.
you were there, but you were really there to get your degree. That was the main goal. And so, I mean, I would someday, it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, I would have to show up 30 minutes late to practice because I was in class
Right.
and it was anatomy. So if you know anything about anatomy, you can't miss that.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
so I had to figure out really quickly how to be efficient at managing my time. And then I would say I also, with me just saying that word efficient, I had to learn how to be efficient in the
Yeah.
office. I
Yeah.
had to learn how to do good work and do it fast and do it properly. And with my boss, I had to think like him. I had to think of what he would need in the next 2, 3 days. Go ahead and do it. So that way, when he asks, boom, I can give it to him right then and there.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
good.
and and bringing value was huge for me. It's like things
That's good.
that you can find that you do well and excel at those things, become a master at those things, and bring that to your staff.
I love it, man. So let's get into it, right? So everybody has the magic question they want to know about recruiting, but I want to ask it from a different angle, right? So you coached at the Major D1, now you're at East Central. Now everybody think that there's a big drop off between talent. Now being at East Central and being at Oklahoma State, what does that talent look like, and what does that recruiting process look like now for high school players? Man, is there a big drop talent, man?
You're gonna have to repeat that. You cut out a little bit.
Cut out. Okay, there we go. No, no, we're good. I was saying like when you were at Oklahoma State, right? So you were at Oklahoma State. Now you're at East Central, right? So you're looking at two different levels. When you talk about the recruiting aspect of going after players, man, I think the high school player, the high school parent thinks that there's a big drop off between talent, right? So when you're going after and you're evaluating players, man, what is the biggest difference between high level D1 and where you're at now? And, and how do you go about recruiting players for that level?
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, yeah.
Yeah,
So, first of all, the drop off, I would say in talent isn't as big as you would think.
yeah,
The
yeah,
drop off in talent isn't as big as you would think. Now, the size up front is probably the biggest difference, the size up
yeah,
front. But other than
yep,
that, the talent isn't it's not as steep of a drop off as anybody thinks. I mean, being at Oklahoma State, there were people on that roster that could play at East Central, and now being at East Central, there's people on East Central's roster that could probably play at
Yeah.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And that I'm speaking in from the East Central standpoint and Oklahoma State standpoint. That's the only places
Yep.
I've been, but
Mm-hmm.
that's across the country.
It's everywhere.
It's
Yeah.
all schools. Uh, and so the recruiting process with D1 schools, it's more sped up than it is with Division II schools, right?
Yeah.
So D2 schools, or D2 schools are typically going to have their kids sign, on that late signing day, right? Which we
Yeah.
just had.
That second signing day
Yeah,
window. Yep.
that
Mm-hmm.
we just had. So that's what D2s are going to get all of their, like we just had the class of 25. They're going to get all their 25s during that signing day. And Division I schools are going to start recruiting classes earlier. So they might even be recruiting freshmen right now. At D2 levels,
Yeah.
we're really
Yeah.
not going to start recruiting kids until their junior year of high school.
Yep.
After that junior year of high school, going into the senior year.
Right. Love it. And then, like, when you talk about the recruiting aspect, man, how do players bring value upon themselves, right? So we already know D1 is kind of like its own animal, man.
Mhm.
They're so far ahead on the recruiting calendar. That just kind of is what it is. Now, when we go like let's go D2 NAIA, let's go D3. How do players bring value, man? How do I get noticed? How do I get this exposure, man? What are the answers, coach? I'm trying my hardest out here, and nobody's coming after me. What do you tell those kids and parents?
Man, you really got to do something that sets yourself apart. You
Mm.
really got to do something to stand out
Speak
because
on it. Speak on it, man. Let
you've
them know.
got you've got the kid, which it's fine. You got the kids that are DMing coaches on Twitter like nonstop. And the fact of the matter is, as a coach looking at these DMs, you can tell what's copy and pasted and what's not.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
We would prefer to read something that's a little bit more personable, right? We don't
Mm,
sit there and
okay.
read something that's copy and pasted. And then even like mailing things to us, right? Maybe mail a card, something like that. Do something to stand out to
Huh.
to make you
Man. Okay, okay. Let's speak on that. Let's speak on that. Let's speak on that because you touched on something, and I get that question a lot. So how do the contact, right? So parents ask me all the time, man, what is the best way to go after the coaches? What is the best way to contact them? Like, what would you tell them, man, in more detail?
honestly, I would say to stand out, to look different, go ahead and it could even be a business card, right? Like nowadays you can make these little business cards and put a QR code in the corner. That makes it quick and easy and boom, right then and there it's personable. Write a little
That's
hand letter
good.
with it. Coach Pugh, I'm really interested in East Central University or in PPT Elite. I would love to play for your program. Below is attached my highlight link. I'm in the class of 2026. Love to come and compete at y'all's next camp. Can't wait to hear back. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
good.
Instead of
That's good, man.
and I
Yeah,
get it. I truly do get it. And yes, the recruits are right for being proactive and sending all of these Twitter DMs, but be personable about it if you're going to do that.
yeah,
And like I said, they're right in being proactive about it, but maybe even like do a little research on the program that you're sending instead of just copy and pasting. Do research on their
yeah,
facilities, where they're at, what their record was last year. If we went to a bowl game, hey coach, congrats on a 8-3 season and good win. And I think East Central won the Heritage Bowl back in 2022. Congrats on the Heritage Bowl win. I'm Murphy Roberts and I'm a linebacker. I would love to play for your program. I'll be at the camp
yeah.
on such and such
That's
date.
good.
Look forward to hearing back from you. Do something that stands out and sets you
That's
apart.
good. That's good, man. That's good. So, okay. All right. So let me ask you this then. So we're talking about the recruiting process, right? And so one of the things that I get from a lot of the guys that I talk to, a lot of the coaches in your position, man, a lot of guys aren't educated. They just don't know the game. Okay. So a lot of parents want to transfer schools. They want to go to different places. They want to move and find the best opportunities. As a college coach, what can coaches like myself what can coaches like that are current high school coaches, what can they do to help you guys in the evaluation process, but too in the development of the football player? Because I know development is key. It's more important than ever now. And now that you're coaching, now that you're head of a position, and you're seeing kind of the things that the players are falling short on, what can coaches do as far as development, and what do parents need to look for when it comes to the development of their player, especially if they have aspirations of playing in college?
So, really quickly, I just want not to cut you off or veer from the
Yeah,
question, but you said, running a position. I do want to say I work with Coach Ingram, Mike Ingram here.
yeah,
He's great. He's the D line coach and run game coordinator. He's awesome.
yeah.
So I do work well with him. Me and him kind of take that on together. He takes the lead. I help him out with whatever he needs. Anyways, though, so development wise, when people hear development, they think physical development, physical readiness. And, in that aspect for high school coaches, just do what you can that your scheme allows for to put that prospective athlete in the best position to perform well. Okay, but I think
Yeah.
what needs to be done development wise more is just informing the high school student what they're getting into, right? Whether that's informing them
Okay.
more
Okay.
on the recruiting side of things, whether that's informing them, how to make a huddle cut up. You'd be surprised. A lot of kids don't know how to even make a
Yeah.
highlight tape. Uh,
Yeah.
informing them of what they're getting into coming to college football. Because as much as, myself, I would like it to be about football, regardless of where you're at, there is some business, there's a level of business into that collegiate football program,
Yeah.
right? You
Yes.
could be at the best program in the country where it feels just like high school football, but there's going to be business involved. There's money
Yes.
involved. And like
Yes.
the higher you go up in football from high school, from middle school to high school to college to pros,
Yep.
more money is involved in each of those, which makes it more of
Yes.
a business. So,
Yes.
I would say mentally developing the kids, as in, letting them know what they're getting into and letting them know that, it's competitive.
Man. Gotta love it. Okay, so let me ask you this then. Then from the coaching perspective, what is the biggest mistakes that players and parents make? Right. So now what I've heard in the past and what I've had guys tell me, man, you got parents that are up there trying to, get as much money as possible. Some parents are overselling their kids, some coaches do whatever. In your experience, what is the biggest mistake that they're making?
I mean, just be honest, be yourself. I would say here, and even when I was at Oklahoma State, we would do visits and stuff,
Yeah.
and parents wouldn't ask questions. Like,
Mm,
ask the questions, ask whatever you want to know. Like, that's what we're here to do as
right.
we're recruiting your child. Like, we're here to let you know what the program's about, what all the majors we offer are, how fast you can get your degree, all
Hmm.
these things. That's our job to let you know. And like, if I was going on a recruiting visit, I wouldn't want any stone to be left unturned.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of people come in and they just don't ask questions. And like, when they don't ask questions, us on the recruiting side are like, okay, what did we do wrong? Is
Yeah.
this
What do we
on us?
miss?
Why
Yeah.
why why aren't why don't they want to know more?
Right.
So I would say not not asking questions, and then really just being honest. And that's something here at East Central we're big on. We're big on people.
Yeah.
Everybody we recruit them obviously first because they have the ability, right?
Yep.
That's what gets us in contact with you is your play, your ability.
Yep.
Um, but we want to get to know you as people. So a lot of kids are nervous on these recruiting visits, and I get it. I was too
Yeah.
when I took my
Yeah.
recruiting
Yeah.
visits. So I'm not knocking anybody for that, but when you get there, man, just do your best to be yourself, and that's athletes and parents included, because we want to get to know you as a person. We want to get to know the family, what the background's like, what we want to know, what we're investing into also. Yes, it's
Yeah,
investment for the families, but it's also an investment to the program.
exactly.
Program's investing into y'all too.
Exactly. Man, you touched on something, man. You said a word. You said this, talking about the word business. And one of the things, man, that I try and get people to understand is the business aspect of this. But if you had to tell parents and players about the college world today, like, look, man, this world is completely different and it's changing year in and year out. And you're talking to a group of recruits, for example, what would you tell them? Like, look, man, if you don't know anything, or if you haven't learned anything on this trip, the one thing I need you to take home is this: understand how this game is moving, how this game is going. What would you tell the players and parents about that in the state of football today?
Um, so when you say that, my head automatically goes to NIL, because
Yeah.
that's all kids care
Okay.
about,
Yeah.
and it's NIL this, NIL that. How much money am I getting?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
honestly, that's not the right mindset you need to have at all. And if I'm being honest, like outside of really Power Five, or what would now be known as Power Four, outside of Power Four
Yeah.
football, I mean, NIL really isn't there. You know,
Right.
it's not, kids at these programs are not making, you know, 3, $4 million. That ain't
Mm-hmm.
happening. And
Yes.
the lower you go, the less even money is there. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
FCS,
Yeah.
I haven't been at FCS, don't know it exactly, but like as you trickle down to FCS, D2, NAIA, D3,
Yeah.
there's going to be less and less of it.
Yeah.
And so just make it about what it's supposed to be. Make the main thing the main thing. And what's the main thing? Football. Make it about
Yeah.
football. That's all it should be about.
Love it. Love it. So, okay, let's get into it, man. You got the JUCO ruling that happened. We got transfer portal. Okay.
Hmm.
We got roster sizes being cut down to 105 now. All right. For the high school athlete, for the high school parent, say, man, what are my chances of getting a scholarship? Like, let's be for real. So if we go down through the stats and we break all the stats down, all this other type, so we're understand that 2% of high school athletes get scholarships. And then we even drop that even lower now when we talking about specifically Power Five, whatever, right? Power Four. But man, with the JUCO ruling now, with the transfer portal now, with guys constantly moving, man, how is that affecting the high school recruiting? I know it's different on different levels, but just through your experience through D1 now through D2, what does that look like for the high school player?
Um, I will say at can't speak for all D2s, but at this D2 that I'm at currently, we do recruit high school heavy. You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
at D1, I'm not there anymore. Can't
Yeah.
speak from it in a futuristic standpoint, but I can speak on it from when I was there. Definitely numbers of high school kids do get cut down because,
Yeah.
rightfully so, they would rather take a guy who has Division I playing experience
Yes.
over a high school
Yeah.
kid that they have to develop. Now they are going to take their high school, their 3, 4, 5-star athletes. They are going to take those. Uh, but when you look at statistics as a whole, um, you, if you really want to do it, if it's really something that you are passionate about, you have a goal to play college football, man, screw the statistics. Screw the
Yeah.
statistics. Go
Yep.
for it. Give it all you have. Give it all you have. You
Yeah.
know, and at the end of the day, it gets back to what we were talking about earlier. If
Yeah.
this world is more competitive, you've got to figure out a way to make yourself stand out more.
Yes, you do.
That's not me bashing anybody. I'm just giving the honest truth. Like that's
Yeah.
just what it takes.
And you got to be,
What
and
it
I like I tell them, you got to be delusional, man.
Absolutely.
If less than 1% of the world is doing this, you got to be delusional.
Yes.
It is what it is, man. I ask my kids all the time. The first question I ask them: are you delusional? I just need to know where your head's at. Do you believe in yourself enough that you can get this done? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
love it. But here's a question that I always wanted to ask, man. From a coaching perspective, What is your approach to the roster? So let's not even say roster. Let's call it your room, your group, your position group, and kids transferring because you know that year in and year out you're gonna lose guys, right? It could be if
Absolutely.
we go position group, we can almost count on two or three guys leaving us, right?
Yep.
So from a college coach perspective, and I think this is a good question because I think sometimes recruits need to hear from what the coach looks like, from what the coach is thinking, his experience. What is that like for you? How do you handle that? How do you handle you knowing that the kids are going to leave? How do you handle your coaching approach? How do you handle the relationship building? What does that look like from the coach's point of view?
First and foremost, you know, the players in my room right now, right? So
Yeah,
I'm going to coach them the exact same I coach everybody else. You know, if you're in my room, whether it's you decide to transfer somewhere else, you decide
yeah,
you want to step away from football, you maybe change positions, you are in my room right now. You're going to get coached the exact same, and you are going to get love. I coach hard, but love you harder. That's something I
yep,
always tell them. And something else I always tell them. And as a matter of fact, I gave my players a booklet today, and at the very top of the booklet, this is something I live by too. I got it from Jim Harbaugh's Rules to Live By.
okay,
Bringing enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
yep. I know that
That's what
well.
I'm going to do when I coach you. I'm
Yep.
going to bring passion. I'm going to bring energy,
Yeah,
and so you know, what I don't know the player's plans in his head, but if you're in my room, you're gonna get coached the exact same as everybody else, and you're gonna get coached hard, but you're gonna get loved harder.
get a little hard too. Yep.
Yep,
Hmm.
yep. And with players coming in, you know, I look for guys with high effort. You know, if when I'm watching, if I'm talking about high school kids,
Yeah,
um, you know, and I'm looking at tape, I'm looking at somebody with high effort, you know, and a big thing for me is because if I can watch the whole game, if I can watch the whole high school game,
yeah,
I'm gonna watch it. You know, I'm gonna watch your highlights. Okay, yeah, I like your highlights, and I'm gonna go try to watch the whole game. And what I see from you when the play goes away from you, that's big for me.
yeah,
That's big for me. I want high motor, high effort guys. You
yeah,
know, and there was an interview with Kenny Dillingham, and it was talking about something
yeah,
about talent, about hard work, and about luck, and where that all ranges out.
yeah.
And it's hard work that's gonna win every time. I'm gonna take the dude that's a little bit less talented but works
Hmm.
that much harder than the dude that's that much talented.
Yep.
That hard. I'm gonna take the hard worker every day.
Love it, man. Okay, so I got a different kind of question. All right. I'm a 17-year-old. Okay. So let's role play. I'm a 17-year-old. Hey, coach, man, nice to meet you, this, that, and the other. I got a question for you, coach. What would make me earn this scholarship over that transfer guy? That transfer guy is 21, or he's 20, 21. I'm 17. What do I have to show you that would make you choose me over him? What would you tell that kid?
You know, we talked about being delusional. We talked about doing everything you can.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
show me how much you care. You know,
Yeah.
how often are you texting me? When you texting me, is it genuine? You know,
Mm,
very easy to tell how genuine people are.
yeah.
You know, like the whole copy and paste stuff that we were talking about on Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
be genuine. So how genuine are you? Um, you know, I'm gonna look at your grades. Are you an issue in the
Okay.
classroom? Because it becomes like if I got a transfer kid that, you know, is he transferring because of his grades? Well, what are your
Yeah.
grades compared to that transfer kid? If you're a guy
Yeah.
that is going to come in and I'm never going to have to worry about you in the classroom, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know, so
Yep.
yeah, I mean, it's if it comes down to if it comes down to playing ability and time spent on like playing collegiately with a transfer because a transfer would have
Hmm.
some on-field college experience. You know, it would come down to all the little things off the field. How well do
Okay.
you excel in those? That's
Yeah.
that's what would determine you or the transfer kid.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Okay. So this is kind of a three-part question. It kind of goes hand in hand with what I just asked you, man. And I'll finish with this. So the first question is this. It would be what gets me recruited initially. The second thing would be, or excuse me, what would get me recruited? What would keep me recruited? And then what would be the deal breaker? So if you can break those three things down into a simple form that I can understand, I can grasp, and I can hold on to this. I can say, okay, no matter what, I gotta remember these three things. What would you tell the recruit?
I would say what gets you recruited is your playing ability,
Okay.
obviously.
Yep.
Something that I learned early on is the ABCs of recruiting, right? Ability, books, character, ABC. So your
Love it.
ability
Love it.
is what gets you recruited. You know, whether I'm just scrolling on Twitter and happen to click a huddle link, or
Yep.
you know, every once in a while open a DM and scroll through, look at a couple guys, or somebody gives some tape to me. I'm initially going to start recruiting you off the ability, off your performance on the field. Uh, and then what keeps you getting recruited is the books, right? It's the books and your character. How genuine you when we're conversating? How much do you want it? How driven are you in all the other aspects outside of football? And then I would say deal,
Yeah.
what seals the deal with this is when you do come on that visit, how are you as a person? Because we touched on it earlier. As a person, that's what we're looking for on those visits. So starting with what gets you recruited,
Yep.
ability, right? Those ABCs, your ability. I touched on however I get the film, whether it's through a DM that I check, whether it's through scrolling on Twitter, scrolling on Huddle, somebody sends it to me, high school coach, whatever. Your
Yeah.
ability is what's going to get you recruited. And then what's going to keep you being recruited is the relationship that we have. When we're talking, is it genuine? Can I tell that you care? Can I tell you really want it?
Yeah.
Are you keeping up with your grades, things like that? And I would say, lastly, what's going to seal the deal is how we talked about on our visits. We care about people. How are you as a
Yeah.
person? How's your family? When I meet your family, how are they? So I would say those are the three things.
Man, I love it. Well, shoot, man, I appreciate your time. I always give every coach this opportunity, man. If you're talking to any recruit that may be listening that wants to go to East Central, why would this be the best place to go, man? Why do they need to choose East Central? What would you tell them? What's your
I,
pitch?
I love that question, man. It is a football school. Like, it is all football,
Yep.
right? It is a put your hard hat on, get your lunch pail. Hey, we're going to work. Very much so a blue collar program. Something our slogan we use is the hard way, right? Nothing in life that is worth anything to you came easy, right?
Right.
We're going to do this the right way, and it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard, but it's going to show you and it's going to show us how much you love football, right? It is a football school. And obviously, we care about your education. We want you to get your degree. Yes, and we will help you with that. We do a very
Right.
good
Yeah.
job. We have a whole academics program. Two of our coaches are over that, and we make all the freshmen, go to study hall. All the even if you're a transfer, your first semester here, you're going to study hall. So we're big on academics, but the reason you want to come here is if you want to get the best out of you, if you really want to push yourself,
Yeah.
and if you truly love football, you're going to come to East Central.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, look, everybody, man, that is Coach Murphy Roberts with East Central University, man. I thank you for your time. We got to do this again whenever the internet's not going crazy.
Absolutely.
It's not crashing on us. But, man, I love to get guys up there with you, man, because the biggest thing I want to do, I want to provide our guys with education so they understand, like, this is what the guys are looking for. This is what they're doing when they're offering scholarships. You're hearing it straight from the horse's mouth, man. So I
Yep.
appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the next one.